I think Blizzard made a big mistake dictating to the player base that Ramatra is the type of tank that wants to engage and close the distance. When we first heard that, I was super skeptical, and all the information I've gained since that point is building up that they're really giving you the wrong advice in a long list of ways, which has kind of ruined the perception of the character and his potential, because almost everyone's playing him wrong. Now, I reached out to some friends of mine, incredibly high-level players, Guru and Yeatle, for comment on the subject of Ramattra, and they confirmed some of my suspicions and taught me some things. There's some of the few players that are optimistic on his power. This is what they had to say. Guru says no other tank can contest long-range DPS like he can. People were just trying to play in his Nemesis form all the time, but the real juice is playing in mage form. But you need to be stingy with your cooldowns on the character. Okay, so that's the opposite approach that I think most players have to the tank category in general, being trained that Overwatch 2 tanks are a smash your face against the keyboard and press as many buttons as fast as possible type game. This is advising the exact opposite, that the value is from the staff shooting damage and holding your cooldowns. This would be the value playstyle that I went at length to describe in my Ana video recently, where your goal is to look for opportune moments, not press the issue. Yeatle opened my eyes as well to the other aspect of Ramatra that I was severely downplaying. Yeatle says he's got the best damage mitigation uptime and one of the best ults. I always thought Orisa was that tank, but she kind of burns out of her abilities quick. And it's combining these two ideas together that really makes Ramatra what he is. The value is from his staff, but when played properly and cycling your cooldowns, as Yeatle says, he's tankier than Orisa, who we previously thought was the most unkillable tank in the game. You might be thinking to yourself, well, yeah, but when I play Ram, I go in and everything destroys me. Well, this is the misconception here, because if you're positioning and playing in the wrong way, you're not really going to actualize the stall the game out forever playstyle that Ram can do. And while, yes, we're used to tanks needing to go finish a limbs, the most OP thing about Nemesis form is the 8 seconds of potential block. Okay, 8 seconds? And then he can get it again in his ult? It takes 10 seconds to respawn. When played defensively, Ram can fortify the front line like no other tank can. All right, let me show you a side-by-side comparison now. You can submit gameplay to the Google Forms in the description. Our hero here is a plat player, and I want you to pay attention to what his focus is on. This is what I'm going to call a normal Overwatch 2 tank playstyle. See the enemy, pop your cooldowns, run at them, expect to kill everybody. And I think a lot of players assume Nemesis form is strong because you're bigger and have more health and the big punches feel like they're good. But I don't think people have properly thought about the time to kill on those punches. Like Winston, Tesla, and Rhine swing are better than that. The staff is where the crazy damage is. Now let's compare to Guru's playstyle. This was from Pugs, filled with contenders players, and top 500s and grandmasters was the lowest rank. So these players are very good that he's playing against. I want you to notice how he uses cooldowns to interact with the game, not to force the issue. It's for an exchange. And from watching his stream for quite a while, he's looking to staff as much as possible. Staff, headshot. Think of him like a pressure character that has these cooldowns to interact, to disrupt the enemy's pushes, and Nemesis is most useful in 2 ways. We spoke about the block, which when you're holding cover like he is here, means you can defend yourself, but the coolest thing about Pummel is that it penetrates shields, not that it's good at dealing damage. The way that I've come to describe what Ramatra plays like is Overwatch 1 Attack Orisa, a character that a lot of players downplayed, and I think there's a lot of tank players out there that hate, even high-level players, who have more of a engaged style and don't really get what these extreme poke characters are like. Now, Ram is a better designed character than that because he does also have some opportunities to rush in. I would say particularly when he cycles both a Nemesis form swap into his ultimate, which extends then all the tanking he can do, and that's now 16 seconds of potential block in a row. Not that you want to use it the whole time, but just that you have that potential to hold the front line, right? Blizzard's really messing up when they say he's good with Lucio, because that seems to imply that he wants to constantly go in, and it's just not true. Because ideally what you want is to slowly take space, play angles and corners, pressure for an opening, and capitalize with your abilities or interrupt the enemy as they try to fight you. I'm going to show this principle on this Midtown game, where I want you to notice each time where the enemy Ramatra uses his abilities and when I decide to use mine. Do we use it as soon as we see the enemy, oh, they're there, let's pop a shield down. It only lasts 3 seconds, okay? So players seem to think you're supposed to be engaging with his shield as if you're a Reinhardt putting it in front and you're gonna have it again. It's on an extremely long cooldown. So if you don't win the team fight, or at least do big value when you place that shield each time, you're kind of throwing. And my little added wrinkle is, and this is what makes this example so fun, is this is an extreme example. On my team, I have possibly one of the greediest damage picks in the history of the game, Bastion. So what I'm looking to do is escort him around and wait until he gets into turret form and then place this insane instant range shield in front of him to trap the enemy in an engagement. And the point is, I don't want to use any of my cooldowns until I feel I have to, or I see the opening for it to get value. And the correct response to seeing the enemy Ramatra burn his shield early is to like run away or poke it down first and wait. Players aren't used to playing Overwatch too slow, I think, because so many tanks are so forgiving and pushing the issue usually works. But the way Ramatra pushes the issue is with his staff. Going into third here, I hate this enemy Ramatra's shield. Where's his team to use it? I mean, the soldier, yeah, can look here, but we don't have to push into the shield. I mean, I can because, again, 8 seconds a block. But look how I'm just holding the front line to be an extension off of my DPS. And you want to make the reads to commit your cooldowns, as I do here, to disrupt the line of sight of the enemy backline, forcing the soldier to back up while our team is all taking the angle, which this is just MOBA skills in a nutshell, just thinking of all the positioning of this fight. As long as we look forward, one shield placement, they all fall, and we all push in. The OP thing about the shield is how fast it comes up at range. Sigma can manipulate his, but it takes a while for him to get it out into distance. Timing the shield when there's a line of sight battle going on, like a team fight like this, is insane. But if you use it just in front, like the other tanks that have their shields all the time, you're not gonna have it when you can actually make a big play with it. And then of course, Nemesis form pushes the issue, extends with the ultimate, clears the objective. You might worry that Ramatra doesn't have mobility, but he can't die on the front line if you play him right and hold your abilities like I'm saying, and then rack up as much damage as you can with your staff to either look for a pick, an opening to press in, or just get your ultimate, because the ult is the crazy thing. And characters that can camp and wait for their ult are pretty safe to play. If the ult is so strong, you can guarantee a fight. And since it can go infinitely, just do the math on that, okay? An infinite draining ult on the checkpoint. This means the enemy cannot contest an objective if you pop it when you're about to cap. So all you have to do is wait until it's time, and there's nothing they can do. As long as your team can heal you up, you'll have 600 health and infinite block to survive. So you can outweight anything and eventually win the checkpoint. We've never had an ability like that in Overwatch, okay? Normally with a tank ult, you can hard counter it 1-to-1 with a sound barrier or transcendence. That's not going to happen here, because if the enemy steps off the objective, you win. And if the enemy stays on the objective, you eventually win. They instead have to invest some way to finish you, but you can block infinitely. So while I understand a lot of people bring up counters to him, it feels very easy to get hooked by Roadhog, slept by Ana. But using these tips, if you play tight to cover, but slow enough that you lead with the staff and then finish the checkpoint with your ultimate, you don't have to engage ever. So sure, Ana can throw her abilities at you on a corner where you're safe, where you can block. And then you stop blocking and you shoot back. Now, all this being said, I don't know if I'd go so far to say Ramatra is a meta character, just that I think that there is definite comps that he can be very strong in. And if you master him, I think he just completely outclasses Sigma in every way. And there's going to be maps where Ramatra is devastating, particularly anyone that has a Widow, because he can shoot back at the enemy's Widow, which, by the way, no other tank can. Not really. Like, you can place a shield down for the enemy tank, you can dive her, but often she's 3 leaps away, right? Ramatra can hold a corner and shoot back. And while he doesn't have as much shield uptime as Sigma, his shield's no joke, and he can shoot. So the way you make space with Ramatra really is with his staff in mage form or omnic form. And so similarly, you definitely don't want a Lucio on your team. So much so that Guru in his pugs was asking his contenders pros not to play Lucio. We're used to Overwatch 2 where Lucio's meta in every situation because you just got to go in, you got to close the distance. But no, Ramatra wants to play for greed and hold positioning, get on cover and exploit it for as long as possible until there's an opening to go in. So Ram benefits a much slower playstyle with double flex support, maybe even double sniper, where you want to hold the map, crossfire, and pressure with your primary fire attacks as opposed to jumping in and using your cooldowns. Now, I'll discuss this more with my other more skeptical friends on the Group Up podcast today, I'm sure. When you play for as much backline greed as I'm talking about, it sounds like the type of comp that Dive and Doomfist can just run into, but I think we underplay a little bit how good Ravenous Vortex and Ramatra's range damage can be, where although he cannot burst things down as much as other tanks, his two forms of damage are quite reliable once you master them. And since I've explained so many things that sounds like some pretty insane skill ceiling on the character, this more tactical, opportunistic gameplay style, with the right cast around him, I don't think would be diveable, actually. At least not on the right map. And we have to admit, most of the maps in Overwatch 2 are medium range and flank heavy, so it's difficult for Ramatra to easily fit in the way I'm describing. But I think as some of this information trickles down to the mass player base and they stop playing him like he's Junker Queen, who wants to rush in deep into your backline, and instead play him more to snipe first and engage second, it's only then I think we're going to really unlock what this character's potential is. That's an exciting place to be in Overwatch. They released an actually not broken character, can you believe it? But I'm a little bit nervous that the community finds like the right assortment of comp that protects whatever weaknesses we imagine, and then really start to leverage an infinite channeling ultimate. But it's still early days. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave it a like, and don't forget to hit subscribe and the bell icon to actually get notified when our videos come out. Link to the description is going to be a whole lot of stuff. You can send in losses for review on the channel to the Google form, get your replay codes in, and get featured on the channel. I'm going to link Guru and Yeetle, their streams as well, two tank players that are way better than I am. You can check out their streams to see more sick gameplay. Let me know all your thoughts on today's theory crafting in the comment section down below. That's been it for me. I've been Frito for your Overwatch. I'll see you guys next time.